How's it going, guys? Welcome to another YouTube video, and as always I like to make sure I answer your guys' questions and only cover topics you guys want to see. So in my last video, which I posted about our client delivery, how we use Facebook ads to deliver results for 30 to 40 clients, I asked you guys what you wanted to see, and the overwhelming majority of people, the questions I was getting were about how to choose a niche for your marketing agency. And in this video, I'm going to specifically be talking about performance agencies. So this is some form of value add in terms of revenue generated. So I'm not going to be talking about video agencies, service agencies, or some kind of like operations consulting agencies or anything like that. This is purely going to be advertising agencies or revenue generation agencies, whatever your platform or chosen method might be. This topic for this video is taken from my free newsletter, which I will link in the comments. I actually written this down into a blog post and I sent it out to my subscribers, my free subscribers, last night. So if you want to get access to these topics early, if you want to see them in written form and get extra content that I'm potentially not putting onto YouTube, you can get all of that for free in my newsletter. So link is in the description if you want to join. It's 100% free. There's no courses here, no paid consulting or anything like that. It's completely free. So today's video I'm going to talk about picking niches, and I've got my iPad here, so I'm going to kind of show you a few things. But there's one really important thing that we need to understand when it comes to choosing a niche for your agency or consulting business, and that is the difference between sectors and platforms. And sectors and platforms are what I would call the two ways you can niche your agency. A platform, for example, would be Facebook ads. Now, Facebook ads isn't really a niche, it's a platform. So in 2010, if you tried to niche yourself by just Facebook ads, that would have been enough. In 2022, there's just too much competition for you to niche yourself down to just Facebook ads. Other platforms might be Google ads or TikTok ads. That is purely the platform that you use or the method that you use to generate results for your clients. The most important thing to remember, though, is that your client doesn't necessarily care what platform you use. You wouldn't necessarily want to include this platform into your offer stack that you build out for your ideal client. They're just looking for a result or some sort of end goal or some sort of problem solved. So you've got to understand there's a difference between platforms and sectors, but also that clients don't care about the platform, they care about a result. Now, sector is the sector in the marketplace that you're operating within. So for example, this might be SaaS, or it could be roofing. And that's for the endless amount of options here. You can even go even further than that, and obviously you can break down into micro niches. So for example, SaaS might be SaaS for finance companies, for example, finance SaaS products, or it might be conservatory roofing, or it might be flat roofing companies, or it might be roof cleaning companies. Now you can obviously go further and further and further. The further down you go, though, the harder it's going to be to attract ideal customers, because there's just simply going to be less of them. So that's always something to consider. So just make one of these charts, and just on each side, just kind of note down all the ideas you've got in terms of the sectors that you think you can work within. One caveat to mention before I carry on going any further, though, is this all depends. Like if you are somebody who has owned a SaaS company before, for example, you already run a SaaS company successfully and you sold it, or obviously that might have happened to a lot of you, but SaaS is your obvious solution. Don't try and go down a sector that you think is going to be more mathematically easy just because this chart told you to. You need to understand that if you understand the sector really well, then choose that sector. If it's glaringly obvious to you, then that's probably your sector. It's also important to mention that this is to take this all with a pinch of salt. There's so many sectors, there's so many platforms, there's so much competition out there. Ultimately, whichever one you think you can deliver the best results for, that is the one you want to choose. If you're really good at Facebook ads, then choose Facebook ads. If you're really good at Google ads, choose Google ads. But another important thing to say is that some sectors will work well with some platforms. If you're selling hearing aids, for example, and TikTok's probably not going to be the best platform, Google ads might perform better. If your target demographic or your client's target demographic is 40 and under, then TikTok ads might be an amazing platform for you to choose. So just bear this all in mind when you're choosing your niche. Now, the second thing I want to talk briefly about here is what I like to call my niche scorecard, okay? And there's 4 key metrics on this scorecard that we're going to score potential niches out of 10. This is kind of how I would go about selecting a niche. Now, the first one here is average order value. This is the average amount of money your client makes for every transaction. So a restaurant, for example, their average order value, we'll do restaurant as an example here. A restaurant's average order value, so the average amount of money they're making from a customer coming in with their family and ordering food or whatever it might be is, let's say, £75. Okay, lifetime value. Now, this is based on subscription or returning customers. If their average customer comes twice, then their LTV might be £150. So we'll go lifetime value. In this instance, let's say they come an average of twice, so £150 would be their lifetime value. TAM. Now, probably not something you necessarily heard of. Quite an important metric, which is total addressable market. So we'll write this down: total addressable apologies of making spelling mistakes. Total addressable market is essentially how many target customers are there for you to actually market to. So for example, if you are marketing, let's say for example you were marketing skin therapy or skin treatments or Botox fillers, whatever you want to call it, well then probably the majority of women in your total addressable marketplace, so your TAM would be large. And if it was a national company, it'd be even larger. If you were advertising hearing aids, for example, your TAM is quite small. It's maybe 75 people, age 75 and over, who have hearing difficulties. So it's quite a small TAM. So it's going to be harder for you to advertise those clients and get them customers. It's just going to be more difficult for you. So for a restaurant, if they're a local restaurant in a small city, then their addressable market might be something like 400,000 people, for example. And they're probably operating within a 5-mile radius maximum. EOD. Now, this is something I made up, but this is ease of delivery. Now, ease of delivery is how easy is it going to be to deliver results for your clients. If you're operating, for example, if you're trying to sell really expensive SaaS software, or let's say a really high-end expensive e-commerce product like a home ice bath or unit or something like that, which is thousands of pounds, but then this ease of delivery is going to be quite low. If you're trying to get customers for a restaurant, or get people to call up and book a skin treatment, or get a £25, chiropractic treatment, well then this is going to be very, very, very easy. For a restaurant, it's a local market, it's for quite a simple product, probably you're just going to be advertising some sort of discount towards their first meal in or something like that. Couldn't be quite easy, so you're going to, I would usually rate this out of 10, and we're going to go around and do this all, but for this one, I would say this is kind of medium to easy. Not as easy as if it was a national delivery company or something where, you can advertise to the whole UK, but relatively easy. So we're going to now go and we're going to score these out of 10. So AOV, average order value for restaurants, £75, terrible, 1 out of 10. £75 just isn't very much, and it's going to be hard for you to acquire customers for less than £75. I'd almost say it's going to be more or less impossible. So 1 out of 10. LTV, lifetime value, £150. Again, not very good. We're going to go 2 out of 10. TAM, total addressable marketplace, 400k. Not terrible, but also not the best. We're going to go 5 out of 10. And ease delivery, quite easy. We're going to go 8 out of 10. So I'll then tally all these scores up and give this a score out of 40, I suppose, or an average out of 10 for this niche. Now, this is just something that I've come up with. And whenever you're thinking of niche ideas, you want to kind of put them through this matrix and figure out, okay, for example, there might be products that are actually quite hard to deliver, but the AOV and the LTV is really, really high. In that case, the reward and the amount you can charge might be a lot higher. So for example, let's take the SaaS example. Let's say it's a software that charges £200 to £400 a month, and their average lifetime value is 12 months. So their customers are paying anywhere from £2,000 to £5,000 in their lifetime. Well then, could you then go to that client and say, would it be fair for us to charge £500 to £1,000 for every customer we send you? they're probably going to say yes because the customer pays them £5,000. So it's worth it to them to acquire customers for that amount of money. If you go to a restaurant owner where the average lifetime value is only £150 and you say, hey, we want to help you get customers because it's going to cost you £200 per customer. Well, obviously they're not going to do that because they're only making £150 per customer. And that's not even accounting for margins. If you look at a company's margins, and the margin is basically what they have after they paid for the costs of materials and labor, or all the kind of variable costs that goes into delivering their product. So for example, a roofer might be labor and materials. You probably left anywhere from 10% to 30% of that original revenue number. Now for a SaaS company, they have high margins, so that might work out well. For a roofing company, they probably have a 20% to 30% margin. So if their average roof installation is, let's say, £5,000, well then there's still £1,000 of profit there that goes to paying for the marketing, i.e. you, on the cost of ads, and paying their profits. So there's a lot more money. You can justify charging a lot more. But put your clients through this, your niches through this scorecard, and just understand where they score on each one of these things. Is their average order value high enough for you to be able to acquire customers for them and make a profit? Is their lifetime value high enough so that if the AOV is lower, is it worth, do the customers stay long enough to justify charging more than they would maybe get straight up in the first month? Addressable market. How easy is it going to be for you to acquire customers for them? Okay, how easy is it going to be? Like, how many of the potential customers are there? What platforms are they on? How easily targetable are they? And then easy delivery. How easy is it to deliver that service? If you're running very simple Google ads for local, I don't know, plumbing companies, and you're copy and pasting the strategy for every company that you work with, well then that easy delivery is very, very high. Like, it's easy. If you're doing bespoke video content marketing for high-end, I don't know, consulting firms, that ease of delivery is very, very low, but the lifetime value of the AOV is really, really high. So you want to balance them out. No niche is going to be 10 out of 10 perfect, but it's about understanding which one of these it sits in and giving it a rough score. Now, the final thing I want to talk about here is what does this mean? So once you've picked these niches, there's certain niches that will work with certain business models, and we've got horizontal scaling here, and we've got vertical scaling here. Now, these are essentially the two ways that you can essentially scale your business. Okay. Now, I've detailed exactly what that means. So if we go back to our original chart, and you've got, let's take example of the a low AOV, or an average to low AOV, an average to low LTV, a high TAM, and a high ease of delivery, i.e. there's a big market for that product. It's easy to deliver the service, but you can't charge as much for each of them. But the delivery is easily replicatable with other employees, and you can teach it and replicate it and automate it quite well. Then horizontal scaling is probably the best strategy for that particular market. So, for example, you would maybe charge 500 to 1,000 or 1,000 to 2,000 pounds per month. You would have 50 to 100 or even 200 clients. A simple delivery service, one product delivered very simply, that's replicatable and copy and pastable across all the clients. And you'll be doing anywhere from 50 to 100k per month in sales. So that's this here. If you are vertically scaling, so if we go back to this, if your clients have high AOV, high LTV, but a relatively challenging ease of delivery, i.e. it's not particularly easy it takes a bit more manual work, it takes a bit more brains, it takes a little bit more of a skilled employee to be able to deliver that work. It might be high-end media buying, it might be, I don't know, professional video content, whatever it might be, then you would probably want to vertically scale. You'd have a very hard time horizontally scaling that kind of business. Now, vertically scaling is where usually you're charging more, and usually the best way of doing this is do some sort of performance-based pay. So if we go, some sort of performance-based, don't know why it's not letting me do it. Whatever. So for example, charging 10% of all the revenue that you generate that customer. So rather than saying, I'm going to send you, I'm going to charge you £1,000 a month, you say, hey, I'm going to generate you anywhere from 50 to 100k of revenue, and I get paid on performance. So you could charge a fee and do the 10%. You could charge per appointment. You could charge per lead. But essentially, you have some form of performance-based payment structure built into your charging method for the client. This way you could have 10 to 20 clients and you'd be charging anywhere from 5 to 20k per month, and this business would be doing anywhere from 5 to 200k with just 10 to 20 clients versus 50 to 100. It's not necessarily easier because you're tied into that performance structure. Like if you don't deliver, you don't get paid as much. So it's riskier because you've got less, clients. If you lose a client, it's going to hurt your business even more. But your revenue earning potential is a lot higher and you can scale that much, much faster. So those essentially are the two, kind of methods of scaling. And you've got to use the niches and ideas to figure out which one fits your business better. So hopefully that was useful. And that's kind of my whole strategy when it comes to scaling agencies and understanding niches. And it really is that simple. I may have a few more caveats to add, which is some things you may want to understand, which was just taken from yesterday's email that I wrote out. Is that obviously money isn't everything. There are other ways to help companies, whether that be time saving, whether that be recruitment agencies, video editing agencies, content marketing, etc. This is talking purely about revenue generating or value adding agencies, not necessarily other types of services that maybe saves time instead of generating revenue. Obviously, you want to balance LTV with ease of delivery. So high LTV clients versus low LTV clients, essentially a completely different business model, which we've covered. And obviously, you want to avoid, like the plague, low EOD and low LTV. So if we go back to our original chart, if the ease of delivery is really low, i.e. it's very hard to deliver that product, the AOV is very low, avoid them like the plague. That's just the worst. It's going to be a bad time, basically, because it's hard to deliver the service and you can't charge very much. So you want to avoid that. So off the top of my head, for example, it's a very random niche, but let's say, for example, this was a tutoring company who only helped GCSE philosophy students. Small target market, hard to target them, low LTV, low AOV, short lifetime cycle of a customer. Not good. Okay, you want to avoid that. And then again, not all sectors work with all platforms. So, I mentioned it already, but there are some products, for example, boiler installations, electricians, they work better with search-based platforms like Google. Most people don't go to Facebook or TikTok to find an electrician. Probably going to work better with Google. And the last one I'm going to mention is predicting cost per acquisition. It's important to understand what do you think it's going to cost you to get a customer. And if you don't know that, watch my last video, which is about delivering results to clients. What do you think it's going to cost you to get a customer? Because you need that number to be under this lifetime value. If it's not under this lifetime value, then, well, you're never going to make any money. That's basically it. So that's it from today. As always, if you want to get more of this content, subscribe, hit the notification bell, as always. And also, make sure that you follow me on my emails. So I've got a free email list. I'm going to put something over the screen now so you can see what it looks like. Once a week, I'm sending out a long-form blog post around some kind of growth strategy or some kind of operation strategy for agencies. And I'm going to try and get guests on and stuff like that as well. You can also access all the past blogs by subscribing. So the link is in my description if you want to subscribe to get updates. And I'm going to send that once a week, usually on the weekend. So make sure you subscribe. And otherwise, let me know in the comments what you guys want to see. So thanks for watching this video. And I'll speak to you guys very soon. And I'll see you guys in the next video.